Hi there, I'm Cymber Lily Quinn, and this is Holistic Harpistry. And this is a prep course, teleclass, webinar, I guess, video chat to help you purchase your first harp. There are a lot of decisions and a lot of considerations that come up all at once when you first are looking at purchasing a harp. So I want to walk you through some of that stuff and make it a little bit easier and a little less overwhelming. First of all, you need to know that there's no standard for harps. They come mostly in triangular shapes. There are actually some Middle Eastern harps that are missing this post portion here. They're just an L shape. So don't try to buy the perfect harp or the standard harp or anything like that, because there isn't any. And it's one of the things I love about harpistry in general is that it has a lot of room for mavericks, and it has a lot of room for originality and for trying different things and experimenting. So let's look at the parts of the harp. This part down here is called the soundboard. It's the part that the strings are attached to at the bottom. It's very thin, and very often it's made of Sitka spruce or some kind of spruce. Guitar soundboards are also made with this. This particular harp is not made with that. It's some kind of very thin, plywood that is painted. Then this piece up here is called the neck, and this piece is the pillar or the post. This piece is also sometimes called the head. And this harp is considered a Celtic harp and also considered a lever harp. It's considered a Celtic harp because it has all the strings on one side of the neck. You see, if I turn it this way, the strings are only attached on one side of the neck, and there are no pedals to this harp. Classical or orchestral harps have pedals in them. This harp is also considered a lever harp because it has these levers right here, and these levers allow me to raise the string 1/2 tone. So for example, here's middle C, and as I raise the lever, it raises it 1/2 tone to a C sharp. Here's the C again, and the C sharp. Now, as a beginner, you don't necessarily need levers, but I find most students advance into levers pretty quickly. So talk with me about considerations about levers if you're thinking about not getting them for some reason. You can get harps, and you can certainly play with harps with no levers and have a completely fulfilled life. There are options for this particular harp. This is the Harpsichord, where you can get partial levers, and then in this case, I have full levers. And I think those harps are around $900. Check pricing, of course, it can always change. This harp also comes with these are guitar strap buttons. This one I actually installed myself because I was experimenting with something, but they come standard with the strap button here and the strap button down here, so that you can actually put this on and wear it and walk around. And if you watch the other video where I have specifically talking about this harp, I demonstrate that in that video. This harp also has a 1/4-inch jack plug-in right here so that I can amplify this harp, and you can see I've had a few nicks here and I've painted over with some different color black. This is a regular guitar jack, and so I can plug this into the amplifier. If you buy this harp, please, I don't have too many requirements, but this is one of them. Please get this stand. It's available from Harpsichord, and so that this harp can sit on the floor. So probably one of the biggest requirements, and there aren't too many requirements, but one of them is that as a beginner, your harp should sit on the floor. This harp is smaller. You might think, oh, it's going to be easier because it's smaller, but if you're wearing it or it's resting in your lap, then there are balance issues and juggling things that just complicate the learning process in the beginning. So please get the stand if you're going to get this harp. So this is the bottom of the range in terms of price of harp, although I absolutely love these little harps. They're durable. They fit in an overhead bin on an airplane. they fit very nicely in first class. She's been in first class a little more often than I have when we've been flying together. And they have wonderful tone. I've had this harp about 3 years now, and the sound that is developing as it ages is just really, really gorgeous. So this is the Harpsichord from Reese Harps in Indiana. So, but let's talk about some other harps, because you may want something a little bigger or something a little more elegant, or something a little more. So let me show you some other options. So I'm going to set this one over here. Okay. So keeping with the Reese theme, this is the Harpsichord Grand. This is the big sister to the harp that I was just showing you. It has a lot of the same features. It just has more strings down here. It has more bass strings down here. Now, believe it or not, it's actually easier to learn on a harp that has more strings than fewer strings. That's because each hand has their own territory and they don't fight with each other. There's no touching, no touching. They each have their own space. On the smaller harps, it seems like it would be easier, but there's some crossing over that can happen that can be, it's not impossible, but it's just a little awkward when you're first learning. So this harp has more strings. It also has the full levers. And then I want to show you the bottom of this harp. It's a bit different. It comes with its own stand, and it screws on the bottom. You'll see I've written back so I know which direction it goes. But it has its own stand. So this one comes with its own stand, so it sits on the floor, so it meets the criteria of sitting on the floor. And then I'll just show you that I had this custom work done by a wood burning artist named B. Israel, and she's in Oregon at the moment. So really beautiful stuff. So this harp also is available as an option for you. Now, I really wanted to understand how the harps worked and where the sound came from and why they're so healing and why they're so soothing and why they're so easy to play, really. I mean, it's not a complicated instrument. It really is pretty straightforward. So I decided I was going to build one. So I'm going to show you the harp that I built. It's a Paraguayan style harp. Now, the story about the Paraguayan harps is that Celtic peoples traveled the world, went to the Andes with these huge Celtic harps and said, there's just no way we can carry these harps around these steep mountains. We've got to redesign them and make them lighter. And so they came up with this new design that I'm going to show you here. So this is a Paraguayan style harp. Now you'll notice right away something different about it. It has guitar levers here instead of the tuning pins that you saw on the other two harps, on the other two Celtic style harps. That's one of the distinguishing characteristics, although it's not 100% of the Paraguayan style harps have this. Some of them do have traditional tuning pins, but the beauty about this is that you can't, if you lose your tuning wrench, you can still tune your harp. It's really wonderful. This harp, you'll notice, also does not have any levers, so it can only be tuned in one key at a time. If I want to change keys, I have to manually change. Let's say I want to play in the key of G, I have to manually change all of the Fs to an F sharp so that I can play in the key of G. So that's just something that is consideration. Here you'll see, get her in here. You can see her. There she is. Oops. My mermaid. There she is. That's another one by B. Israel. Okay. And then the last thing I want to show you is the main difference between the Paraguayan style harp and the Celtic harp. As you can see that the strings come up in the middle of the neck here. There we go. You can see that. And you can see, show how they come in underneath here. So what this means is that on the harps, on the Celtic style harps where all of the strings are on this side of the neck, the strings are pulling the harp this way, and really the tension wants to pull it into a taco. It's trying to pull itself apart. It's trying to pull itself into a taco shape. And so Celtic style harps have to have really big necks and really strong heads to hold that tension, to resist against that tension that is pulling it this way. The beauty of the Paraguayan style harps is that all the tension is going directly up the center of the head, and so the harp is actually holding itself together rather than trying to fold itself in half. And that allows the Paraguayans to make these teensy-weensy little pillars here and very thin heads up here and take a lot of weight out of the harp. And it also gives it a much brighter sound, and it's I should have played the other ones for you as well. Wonderful, wonderful harp. So this was a kit that I put together from John Kovac, Kovac, John Kovac, and Paraguayan style harp. And he's a wonderful guy. He's helping to spread Paraguayan harps in South America. So this also qualifies as a harp that sits on the floor, and it would be totally okay harp for you to use as a beginner. So if you go to the harp store and you sit down at a Paraguayan harp and you just fall in love with it, you just say, oh my gosh, I have to have this harp. This is a good harp. This is a nice harp to have. The last harp I want to show you is my big harp. There we go. Here she comes, Miss America. All right, so this is my recording harp. She doesn't go out much anymore. She doesn't get much anymore. I don't take her out too much, mostly because at the moment I live on the second floor of a walk-up, and this harp weighs 45 pounds without its case. But it does have an absolutely incredible sound. And when I put my hands on this harp, I knew it was over. I just felt, I knew. It was like I'm meeting an old friend. Hasn't been the easiest relationship, I'll be honest with you. This is a really big harp, and I am not a really big person. So I have had to learn some things about myself, and I've had to learn some things about the harp in order to be able to sit well, play it well, and feel really good at it. And it's worked out really well. So if you find yourself in the position where you can afford a bigger, better harp, and one speaks to you, mainly make sure that it sits on the floor, has enough strings, and can be tuned, and is a reasonable quality of instrument. If you have any questions at all, you can call me, text me, email me, visit me on my Facebook page, come to my website, however you want to get in touch with me, and ask me questions, and I can help you make some decisions about what's going to be a good harp for you. There are a lot of other great harps out there. Excuse me. Dusty Strings is another one of my favorites. But excuse me, I'm missing, mine's been rented out right now. So if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call, and I'll see you on the next Holistic Harpistry.